Hi, it's Terry Humphries. This is a short demonstration of S4S. It's pretty informal, so hopefully it'll take around about 10 minutes. I'll try to get through it very quickly, so feel free to contact me afterwards. So the S4S Connector, we're going to have a quick overview of it. We're going to look at web form for marketers saving a contact to Salesforce and then changing the Sitecore persona of that contact from Salesforce and pushing it back into Sitecore, so the next time that contact visits the website, they'll get an experience that's been driven out of Salesforce. We're also going to look at creating a Sitecore portal where a company's internal people can access the public website, and the whole idea there is that they can access a subset of Salesforce data without actually consuming or needing to have a Salesforce license. It also could work for customers that are privileged, and they log into your Sitecore portal, and you can expose stuff out of Salesforce to them if they meet certain requirements. We're also going to show Salesforce creating a campaign in Salesforce and sending emails via Sitecore and monitoring those emails as they're sent from Salesforce. So today we're talking about just S4S, but we've got some other connectors in this space. Of course, we support all the latest versions of Sitecore and the other technologies as well. The connector itself is installed all over the place. Probably American Express and Stanley Black & Decker are our largest clients, but all these red dots or red pins represent a connector somewhere. The connector itself is installed into Sitecore, and it connects to Salesforce using the Salesforce Partner API. What it does is it enables bidirectional real-time connectivity, and it makes it very easy for Sitecore developers to use the connection interface to talk to Salesforce. So there's a lot of out-of-the-box functionality, but as well as that, there's the ability to programmatically access Salesforce. And when you do that, these objects here in Salesforce appear in Sitecore as strongly typed objects. So your Sitecore development team don't really need to learn about Salesforce to use the connector. So quickly, I'm just running through this PowerPoint to give you an idea. I'm going to demo all this later. So here it's showing custom forms and web form for marketers and the ability to create anything in Salesforce from those forms. So here it's showing an opportunity, but it could be a lead or product campaign or any custom object that you wanted to create. You can do that from a custom form or in fact from a web form for marketers form. If you are actually using web form for marketers, you can map that form to any object in Salesforce. And if you're using that form as a visitor to the website, you can upload your CV and the likes or any documents that you want to and push them to any of these objects as attachments. So you might, for example, be doing a job application on the website and you can attach your CV and it'll automatically be added to a Salesforce contact or lead, depending on how you map the form in the wizard. So if you are doing web forms and you're talking to a person object in Salesforce, like a lead or a contact, then we've got the ability to pick up the analytics from Sitecore and push them through to Salesforce in addition to the form data. So this means that everywhere that the new lead or new contact went to on the website is all visible, all the goals they hit and the points and pages, and it includes pattern cards and profiles, which is all related to personas, Sitecore personas. So if Sitecore's determined this person to be a particular persona, that information is pushed through, and of course we're going to modify this in Salesforce and push that information back. So when they visit the site again anonymously later on, they'll get a persona that's been pushed from Salesforce. There's a whole lot of other stuff that's also collected that we're able to see in Salesforce. This stuff is this information here is really reportable. This additional information is viewable on demand, so we don't inundate your Salesforce instance with extraneous data like millions of pages visited when it's not really important. You can extrapolate this data using goals and the likes and report on it from here. So I mentioned before, but the controlling of the website from Salesforce is implicit control. That's because you might set up the persona to be a job applicant on the website, but in fact, if the person visits the website and goes to other areas of the website, that Sitecore might deem that person to be not a job applicant, but maybe it's a professional user or some other type of profile that you've set up on the website, and it can change the profile, so it's implicit in terms of it can change. Now we're going to show you explicit personalization. In this case, when someone logs into Sitecore, and this is the portal situation I mentioned before. So people are coming to the website wanting to see privileged information or see something out of Salesforce there, and when they log in, that information is being authenticated out of Salesforce itself as well. So in this case, John Smith has visited the website. His username and password are stored in his contact record, and when he logs in using the login control in Sitecore, everything he sees then thereafter will become controllable out of Salesforce. And again, this is explicitly controlling it. So because he's now logged in using the contact record, we can then push roles and profiles out there, so we can control his experience by roles and profiles. This differs from the personas. So once we've done that, we'll talk about that in the demo. Now, the next section is all about the S4S Email Experience Manager. This is a paid-for module, and this is where we can have Salesforce contacts and leads. We can compile them into a Salesforce campaign, and then we can push that campaign marketing list into Sitecore, and Sitecore then will send out the emails to the various recipients. So here we go, here's Sitecore sending them out, and what happens with those emails in terms of the recipient, whether they open it, ignore it, or open it and click on a link in the email, all that information then is pushed back into Sitecore, and Sitecore will then push it back through S4S into Salesforce. And this information appears against the campaign member record, which is the part of the campaign, and we can track the opt-outs and all this same information that we saw before with the web form for marketers form. So this is for round trip. I'll show you this shortly. Again, it's all reportable, so you can compile Salesforce reports to report on exactly what you want to know about that particular campaign. There's a whole lot of technical features that the S4S Connector allows you to do. A lot of these are programming related, but it's been sort of in development since 2009, a long time in terms of products, and over that period of time it's been constantly improved and tracked all the Sitecore and Salesforce versions and releases. We do like to sort of guarantee success because we know so much about Salesforce technologies. We're in that space permanently, and we've seen pretty much what all the problems that customers have encountered in the past, and we've resolved them, and where they're not resolved, we can certainly provide all the details to work around them. So here's some details about contacting me. I'm at terry@fuseit.com, and now I'll just whiz into the demo. So we'll close that off and show you, won't show you that, we'll show you the Office Core website. This is a standard Sitecore demo site that's particularly used in the UK and Australia. We've chosen to use it because it fits our needs. At the moment, I'm not logged in. I'm completely anonymous. If I look at my pages, I've got a little thing here to tell me I've gone to 2 pages. This is the second and my first visit, so I'm completely anonymous. So I'll just go to some places that I know have got goals. Here's a Sitecore UK has got a goal, and let's go to Sitecore Germany. So there's 2 goals I've hit. And before I go any further, I'll just show you that there's a personalization section here, 3 ads, or 3 sections. And this is what happens when Sitecore hasn't figured out who I am yet. Now, this particular website's been configured for personalization around holiday products or holiday buyers, home buyers, and office buyers. So these are 3 personalizations that has been set up. So Sitecore is trying to figure out which one of these I am. And we're going to let Sitecore think we're a holiday products buyer by clicking around all the holiday products, and letting Sitecore know in no uncertain terms that we are a holiday buyer. And so now when we navigate out of this, we go back home, you can see Sitecore has implicitly decided that we're a holiday buyer, and we're starting to render advertisements and the likes around that. And why I'm showing this is that we're going to push this information through to Salesforce, and then we're going to change it in Salesforce, and we're going to change the experience from Salesforce for this user. So before we do that, let's go and look at some other stuff. Here I've created a little S4S tab, and this is kind of representing the portal. We haven't logged in yet, so you might want to hide these sort of sections behind a login. Only show them when someone's logged in. But you can look at Salesforce Documents. I could go and look at Salesforce Opportunities, Accounts. I could create, read, update, or delete any of these objects, or you can do all this from a portal that you can create here. It's very simple. So I haven't got time to show all that. So I'll just jump straight to here, a web form for marketers page, and create a new contact in Salesforce from this. So if I go and create John here, I've done this before, so it's telling me it knows about me. Look at that, really making my job easy. And hopefully that's John. I better take care, because I'm going to log in as John. So this is a standard web form for marketers page. I've taken the opportunity to collect a username and password because we're going to log in with these credentials later on. But at the moment, I'm anonymous. So when I submit this, it's going to go and push this create a new contact in Salesforce. But before we go there, I'll just jump through to look at this form in the back end of Sitecore. So that form I filled out was a standard web form for marketers form, and you can see here that it's here it is. And the only difference really being is that I've mapped it to a S4S or one of our own save actions. And if I do that, then, and I click on the mapping wizard, which is in here in the menu, S4S mapping wizard, you'll see that because I've selected one of our S4S mapping submit actions, it appears here in this list. So at this point, we're going to map that form into an object in Salesforce. At this point, it could be any object, and I can pick anything I like. And so these are all the objects in our own Salesforce instance. Of course, it's a create contact, so I'm going to pick a contact. Once I've done that, I can pick any field here and map individually go through each field in the form and map it to a Salesforce corresponding field. This has already been done. I'm just showing you how it is done. Here we go. Also, if this is a contact or a lead record, there's this little section appears here down, and you can see I'm mapping this particular form to a top purchases campaign in Salesforce. So anybody visiting the website, filling out this form, this particular web form for marketers form will automatically be added to this top purchases campaign. So let's just jump into Salesforce and do that straight away. So here's the top purchases campaign, and John's just been added as a new entry. So we'll see if he's here. There he is here. John has already been added to this campaign automatically by virtue of that mapping that we just did. If I go and look at John's contact record, so this is him here. You can see the details I collected from the web form, his email address, and you'll also see down here that ignore this for a second because this is the authentication part. Let's look at his page history. We go in here, and it's going to Sitecore at this point. That's why it's a little slow. It's gone to collect it, and you can see that it went to the UK and Germany leads, contact us goals, and looking around the GoPros, and eventually I filled out the contact form. So if we want some more detail, we can go on the view details here. And this information on this page is entirely reportable in Salesforce. So we can go down and run reports against any of these items and see who on our website went to see had a value greater than 30 or for a holiday buyer, or who was the holiday buyers, or who went to the most goals, or who accrued the most values. So this is all entirely reportable, so you can determine your hot leads on a day-by-day basis. So If I call John and as a marketer or as a salesperson in Salesforce and determine that John actually is not a holiday buyer, I might want to change those values so I can then say, John, you're not really a holiday buyer at all. You fooled Sitecore into thinking you were. In fact, you are a luxury buyer. We'll make heaps of values there. And we'll give him a unique experience on the website next time he comes back, even as an anonymous visitor. So we'll save that. And so we've given him a lot of value here for a luxury. So when he comes back, he's going to be a luxury buyer. We've saved it, and that's been pushed back to Sitecore at this point. And so when I go back to Sitecore and navigate around, I'll be a luxury buyer. Before we do that, let's go and look at some other things that we can do. Look at John's record. The total accrued gold points are 70 at this point, so we can run a report against that, and we can run a report against who visited the most web pages. And of course, at any point in the future, John could come back and these values will increment. They're pushed out of Sitecore on a regular basis, up to you how often you do that. Or you can explicitly go and just get the analytics by clicking this button in real time. So very useful, very powerful for lead qualification. Now, in regarding the Sitecore portal, this is where the information is stored there. And so John, if he's a privileged customer and we want to show him other information, we can collect this is his information collected from the Web Forms Marketers form before that we just filled out. At the moment, he's a junior. We don't like that. We're going to give him some senior, or even some admin. We'll just give him some senior roles, and we'll upgrade his member status to a gold member, and we'll land him on the, what do we call him, a Office Products page. We'll land him on the Office Products page anyway and save that. So we'll go back to the website and we'll log in. Before I log in, I shouldn't really do that. I'll go to the home page, and because before we log in, it'll just confuse ourselves now. Sometimes Sitecore takes a while to do the personalization. There you go, I had to click on the extra page, but you can see now this originally was a 3-section, and then it was a GoPro, and now we've now able to see that John is an anonymous visitor, not logged in yet. We can see that he's getting an experience being driven out of Salesforce based on those settings we made and pushing them back into Sitecore. So if we do log in, so that's what you're looking at now is implicit personalization, where if we went enough pages, we could probably tell Sitecore that we weren't an Office Products buyer at all. We were in fact something else. So it's not fixed in mud, fixed in brick and mortar. So we log in now here as John. Now we're actually logging in, getting privileged content. So again, we'll just jump in and see what's going to happen. We've logged in with John. This is one-way hash, so it's very, very strongly encrypted. Can't be decrypted from Salesforce. We're going to have an extra tab appear for John because he's now a senior role, and he's going to have a Sitecore profile, which let's just explicitly render experience for him, and he's going to land on the Office Products page. So if we go back, we can see, here we go. Here's John. He's logged in. Hi, John, gold member. I think there's an extra tab up here, and you can see he's landed on the Office Products page that we set from Salesforce. So this is very powerful stuff, and everywhere now we go, it's going to get explicitly and add a experience that according to a Sitecore role, but set from Salesforce. So that's kind of the basis of personalization from driven out of Salesforce. Very powerful, implicit and explicit. If we jump now back into Salesforce, I'll show you the sort of things we can do around emailing. So let's go back to the top purchase campaign and consider that we've got all these members of this campaign, of which John is one of them and I am another. So this is a standard Sitecore campaign, Salesforce campaign, and you can see that it's got a button here, send to Sitecore. So if we click on this button, obviously we're going to send these campaign members a campaign in Sitecore. So so this is the marketing list we're building up. We've got, I think there's about 17 members so far, but we can also add more members to this marketing list by adding our Salesforce report, the output from that. We can add some extra members by campaign. And of course, because we're adding stuff here, we want to make sure that we don't have duplicate emails, so we'd leave that unchecked, and that would eliminate any duplicate emails that were potentially arising by adding multiple campaigns and multiple reports. Of course, we can also exclude, so we might have competitors that we don't want to see the offers that we're making, and so we can add them as a report or campaign. We can also, for the body of the email, we can choose how we want to, what body we want to have. We can pick a Sitecore email template, or we can go back into Salesforce and pick what's called a communication template in Salesforce. And either of those, whether it's from Sitecore or Salesforce, we can view the body here of the chosen template, just to make sure we've got the right one. We can do something like create a campaign, some of the details around our email campaign. We're going to put something obscure so I can recognize myself. And again, we can do, we can just send it to Sitecore, we can send it later, or we can just send it now. We haven't got much time, so we'll just send it now. And at this point, Sitecore is now starting to think about sending this campaign, and we can monitor this process. It's a little slow because Sitecore just does things at its own speed. And I will know when Sitecore's sending these emails out because I'll get some stuff happening here. So we'll just refresh the page and see if we've got Sitecore's doing anything yet. It is. So at this point, Sitecore's given us some numbers. We can go and look at the delivery status, and we can see here in Salesforce, we haven't gone into Sitecore at this point, we can see the progress of this email campaign going out. Probably not a good idea, really. You don't really need to do it so early in the game. As you can see at the moment, none have actually been sent. So, but we can refresh this page and see them being sent. And as they go out, here we go, we've got one just arrived in my inbox. Let's see what else is there. And here we go, there's the inbox. We need to download these images. So, and let's kill off all the birds with one stone, and we'll go and visit the site as well. And here it is. Now, it's a little bit of a deceptive thing because I've just done a demo of some of the other functionality, and we've sent a email campaign to ourselves. So we're getting a bit of this experience we just saw before. But if we go somewhere here now and we look at references, and wow, I'm really impressed, that's good. And we look at this page, we'll see this come through in these reporting in a few minutes. So this is, notice that it's Janet Jones up here. So we'll see that back in Salesforce. So if we go back into Salesforce now and refresh this, we expect to see that someone, that's me, has opened the email and we've clicked through because we went to the website on that link. So hopefully this will be there. Yes, it's there I am. I've clicked through and I've it's showing up here. Now there's only actually there's a bit of a fake campaign. There's only 5 recipients because they're all the same email address. Sitecore did its magic and didn't send off 1,000 of these. It identified that some were duplicates and didn't send them all duplicate emails. So if we now go back and we'll see what this looks like. Go to top purchases. Now we have to explicitly get an update of the analytics, and this can be done on a time basis by a Sitecore scheduler. And if we go down now and have a look at me, and you can see that I did the stuff I did earlier on. I've clicked through, which is the click through I just did, and just to prove that it is me, you'll see here that there's the Janet Jones reference that I just clicked on, and some of the stuff that I went to before when I was demoing the earlier piece. And it does that because it knows it's picked up my cookies and the likes from the earlier call, but it shows you that it is tracking everything I do in Salesforce. And again, it honors all the opt-outs. It'll show the opt-outs here for that campaign, and if it's a global opt-out, it'll surface it to the contact record that's back here as a global opt-out. So that's all there is for this quick demo. And call me or email me at terry@fuseit.com if you have any more questions. Thank you.